all aboard for your chance to win $1,000 every week until December 28th. That's right, $1,000 cash just in time for the holidays. To hop on board, just head to churchillmortgage.com and punch your ticket to the Churchill Express giveaway. Visit churchillmortgage.com for your chance to win big.
This is a paid advertisement. NMLS ID 1591. NMLSConsumerAccess.org. Equal housing lender. 1749 Mallory Lane, Suite 100, Brentwood, Tennessee 37027.
Unwrap incredible Canon deals at Rockbrook Camera. Check out the new EOS R100 mirrorless camera featuring 4K video and our free Photo Basics class. It's only $499.99. Save $100 this week. Get in closer to your subject with Canon RF lenses. On sale this week for up to $300 off. The best Canon holiday camera deals and the local camera experts are at Rockbrook Camera. 1 block south of 168th and West Center in Omaha, 70th and Pioneers in Lincoln, and online at rockbrookcamera.com.
Welcome, friends, it's the MovieFilm Podcast. MovieFilm Podcast, enjoy the show. Zachy and Brian are talking about the movies. MovieFilm Podcast on the radio.
Welcome to MovieFilm. This is episode 270. I am Zachy Hassan, and on the phone, standing at a street corner in Paris, is Brian Hall.
Hey, how's it going, Zachy? Actually, I'm in Rome.
Oh, you're in Rome
I'm in
now.
Rome, Italy.
Look at this.
Yes, I'm literally standing on a street corner in Rome, so I could talk to you today.
This is like CNN in 1990. You're Peter Arnett in Baghdad.
I know, coming at you. Yeah,
There's a little like a still image of you in the corner of the screen. You know. The Scud missiles are falling. Wolf, we don't know what's. We may lose signal. You know.
Yeah, and I have like a helmet on my head, a vest. Yeah. No, but I mean, this is kind of wild. It's almost midnight here, and then Federica and I leave. We're flying to Sicily. Like we will be up in 5.5 hours to leave for the airport. So that is how much I wanted to talk to my friend Zachy today.
It has been an interesting struggle, just trying to like find the time and then navigate technical issues, right? Like.
Oh man, yeah, no, but this, you know what? I think this one sort of takes the cake though, because it's like, you know, I mean, this in travel and keeping up with work, and we sometimes weeks go by and we just can't make it work. But like, I apologize for the audio quality. I think that goes without saying. I don't even know what it's going to sound like, but I'm here because we got to talk some Fast 10.
That's ironically, our journey to discussing Fast and Furious has been slow and deliberate.
Yeah, yes, exactly. Yeah.
So we will be talking about that in just a little bit. But how's your traveling going?
Oh, it's going great. This was kind of Federica's family has like an annual summer trip kind of thing, and so this year was Italy, and it's incredible. It's so nice that they take us on this, and so far, yeah, I was in Paris for like a week, but I was like working the whole time. It wasn't really like a vacation. But then, Italy, it's sort of like Italying by day and working by night, and then I actually do have some days coming off, or days off coming up soon, so that'll be kind of like actual vacation time. But this has been great. I mean, the days have been packed. I mean, we've seen everything. We went to the Vatican, which was incredible. Saw the Sistine Chapel, the Trevi Fountain. We took a pasta making class, which was actually really, really fun, and we were shocked how good it all came out. It's been really cool and kind of surreal, honestly.
Well, the important thing, have you watched any movies is the most important thing that our listeners are wondering.
No. Well, not here. And actually not even on the plane. Wow. But before I got here, I did. Oh, I want to mention, yes, two things. One, have you watched the Apple TV Plus movie Still?
No,
Michael J. Fox
I really
movie,
need to.
I think it's called?
Yeah.
Highly recommend it. It's it's very short. It's only like 90 minutes. And there's sort of like a talking head component of it with Michael J. Fox talking through his rise to fame, which honestly I didn't know a lot about. And it's kind of cool the way that they do it, where it's a combination of recreating, someone like playing young Michael J. Fox, but he's only shot from behind. So you see the back of his head and he like moves like him. It's really incredible. Whoever they picked is great. But then they use footage from all of his stuff.
Right.
So, to tell the story. So and then he was handed bad news. It'll show a clip from like Secret of My Success of him getting a folder and going, oh no, kind of a thing. Mm-hmm. But it totally works. And it really, the journey that you go on with him where you're just like, man, yeah, I know. I love this guy. He's been there my whole life. And just seeing what he's been through, it's really hard, honestly, to watch sometimes. And it's sad to see him this way, but then like his strength and his, the way that he just forces optimism and tries to, take something that's happened to him that's been so challenging, but make something out of it. Like, what can I do with this and with who, my resources and whatnot. It's a really, if you like Michael J. Fox, if you like Back to the Future, there's a fantastic sequence about him doing the whole, I've got to do Family Ties by day, Back to the Future by night. And it's really exhilarating the way that they recreate it with the actor / clips from the films. So it's an easy 90 minutes, and it really makes you just love the guy even more. So you'll love it. Your family will love it.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I'm like, okay, I need to find the time where everybody's free to be able to watch that, because that's what's extraordinary about those films, I guess, in particular, is they transcend the era in which they were released. So whether you were a kid in 1985 or whether you're a kid in 2015, Michael J. Fox and you love Michael J. Fox.
It's incredible even here over in Rome. Just today, I've seen multiple Back to the Future shirts, and like DeLorean shirts. And so it's just one of those things where it's like, there are these like movies like Casablanca, like It's a Wonderful Life. You go through time and those are the ones that just stick. And we keep marching forward and adding to that like evergreen. These are going to be classics for everyone forever. And Back to the Future is certainly one of those, I think.
Well, I know he was asked recently about, what his thoughts would be on whether they should reboot or recast it or whatever. Mm. And I love his just like, yeah, sure, whatever, I guess. That was essentially.
Oh, really? I hadn't heard that.
I think that's kind of where I'm at too when it comes to all this stuff, where I don't want it. I don't need it, but
right,
life goes on. You know what I mean? Like, I think Michael J. Fox has bigger things on his mind,
Right, for sure.
Like,
yeah, no, I think as it happens more often also, Star Wars sequels seemed unfathomable like 10 years ago, in a way, right. Or, roughly 10 years ago. Yeah. But then as it happens and as we're getting Indiana Jones 5, you're like, yeah, all right. Like, like you get more used to the idea, I guess. To be clear, I don't think I wouldn't want it if I'm being honest.
I have no desire for it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But if they do, well, I don't know. I hope they put a ton of care into it,
Well, I think what it comes down to is how much of my energy do I want to spend being upset about something?
That is a huge thing about getting older. We've talked about this, yeah.
Right?
It's like, yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of getting older, I finished watching A Man Called Otto.
Oh, how is that? I watched chunks of that over someone's shoulder on the plane.
Yeah, I think last time we talked, I was halfway through it, and I mentioned, like, just, my wife and I have been trying to somehow chug through this thing, and it's been in sort of like mini-series sized chunks, This is a Netflix movie, Tom Hanks playing, the guy from Up, basically.
That's funny. Yeah.
This is actually a remake of I think it's a Swedish film called A Man Called Ova.
Right. Right, in a book also, I think, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
And the movie version, I think, was from 2015. And you know, it is nice. I have to say, I think maybe it's sort of like it's pretty saccharine. Let's put it that way. And I think
Sure.
one's affinity for the film will greatly depend on, you know, how much sugar you've had that day. You know,
Sure.
I found it very sweet, and it's you know, it's a thoughtful film in that, you know, it's about this character played by Tom Hanks who is dealing with a recent loss in his life. So again, shades of Up. His younger self, so we cut back and forth between the present and the past. His younger self is actually played by his son, Truman Hanks.
Oh, interesting. I could tell just from, like I said, looking on someone else's screen. I was like, wow, that guy really looks like him.
Yeah, and I think the casting works. I think it's a sweet film. I mean, it's, you know, I don't think it's gonna blow your hair back or anything like that. But I mean, you know, you're watching it to see Tom Hanks, and when is he not watchable? You know?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you're just in the mood for something like that. I mean, I know I will be at some point soon, so
yeah,
I'm sure I'll check it out.
It's absolutely worth a look, I would say.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, and then I got one more on the opposite end of the spectrum. I saw John Wick 4.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Finally, I really wanted to catch that in theaters, so I went at like 10 at night one night. And I don't know if you know this, but the movie's 3 hours long.
It's quite a commitment. Yeah.
Yeah, but dude, it's great. Do you like the John Wick movies?
I do. I have not seen this fourth one yet, but I plan to.
You're gonna love it. I mean, it's the mythology. That's what's been so funny about these movies is like, I was listening to the film cast, and I really related to something that one of their co-hosts said, which was when the first movie came out, and it's just, you know, Keanu Reeves like shooting like 200 people. You know, just with like the news these days, there's like a little part of you that feels like, like if something's like, you know, there's been a shooting in real life, it's like sort of hard to watch. And you know what I mean? Like, it can kind of affect your viewing of watching just people just getting shot. And I think what the movies have wisely done, and I'm saying this is what they said, I thought this was a really good observation, is they've sort of turned it into this weird, almost like fairy tale, where it's like, you know, John belongs to this like crazy organization, and there's all these weird sort of rules, and if they want to do this, they have to go meet the high table, and you know, it like becomes so crazy that it's like now sort of detached from reality. Yeah. And so then it almost becomes like sort of a crazy, almost like a kung fu movie, or like a, you know, like it's like a weird violent fairy tale or something. And I think that's really helped it to just be like, oh, well, this is like, I was describing it to my brother. I'm like, it's like watching a musical with guns. Like, there's just like these crazy elaborate set pieces that they just break out into every now and then, and they're fantastical and really elaborate and really amazing. And this one, oh my gosh, like there's this whole, all of it's really cool. You know, there's like this crazy nunchuck sequence, which I've always like, you know, you always play with nunchucks as a kid, but you're like, how do you actually use these things? Like, is this, I mean, just, are these things ever actually handy? And watching in the movie, I'm like, oh, so that's what you do with them, you know? That was kind of fun. And then, you know, the end, the whole last third of it, or fourth really, is in Paris, and he's at the Arc de Triomphe and throwing people into cars, driving in the opposite direction of him on a motorcycle, and you're just like, what's not to love here? So it's a total fun action romp. I think you're gonna dig it.
Well, so without spoiling anything, my understanding is that this one comes to kind of a good conclusion.
I think so.
And I heard, again, I don't think that's a spoiler. You know, it's a good place to end. Although I'm hearing this week that they're already developing a fifth John Wick. How do you feel about that?
As you said, I think they found the perfect way to wrap it up. I was very satisfied with it. I mean, this whole, for 3 or 4 movies, really, actually for the first one was revenge, and then the other 3 have been basically about him being like, I just want out. Come on, let me out, you know, kind of a thing. And in this one, you know, he's seeking his way out. And like I said, I think it comes to a satisfying conclusion. And then you're like, well, if they're going to make another one, then does it undo, him achieving whatever he achieved in this.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how they're going to go about it, but also, I mean, I think this has been the most profitable one so far, and was really well received. So I can understand a studio being like, okay, well, let's think about this.
Yeah.
Do we have to, what else can we do here in this universe? Although they do have the Ana de Armas spinoff coming out, I think, next year, right?
Yeah.
And then there's like a television series,
The Continental.
I think, also, right?
Yeah.
The Continental, yeah.
That's right.
So definitely a profitable universe for Lionsgate these days.
Like, I wonder if it would be kind of a Jason Bourne situation where most people think that, the third Matt Damon film came to a good conclusion, and they tried to keep going, right? They tried to keep going with Jeremy Renner, and then that didn't really land. And then several years later, Damon came back, and that one didn't really make much of a mark,
Yeah, I forget that one exists, if I'm being honest. I don't even know if I saw that one.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, after Bourne Ultimatum, people are like, ooh, is Matt Damon going to come back? Like, no one's asking that after the fourth Matt Damon Jason Bourne movie.
Right. Yeah. But I mean, again, if it's, I get it. I mean, creatively, again, like I said, I'm happy. But, if you're making money, I mean, that's what you're looking for, right? These days, like, before we talk about this all the time, where it's like someone's not just looking to make a movie. They're like, how can I start a new IP? And if it isn't like a potential IP, then they're less likely to get made. And so if you have this brand on fire right now, they got to figure something out, I suppose.
Come ring in the new year in Denver. Celebrate with parties, champagne toasts, live music, and dazzling fireworks. Plan your celebration and find great hotel packages at milehighholidays.com/NYE.
All aboard for your chance to win $1,000 every week until December 28th. That's right, $1,000 cash just in time for the holidays. To hop on board, just head to churchillmortgage.com and punch your ticket to the Churchill Express giveaway. Visit churchillmortgage.com for your chance to win big.
This is a paid advertisement. NMLS ID 1591. NMLSconsumeraccess.org. Equal housing lender. 1749 Mallory Lane, Suite 100, Brentwood, Tennessee 37027.
Unwrap incredible Nikon deals at Rockbrook Camera. Save $400 on the versatile Nikon Z6 II full-frame camera. The Nikon Z6 II features 4K Ultra HD video and 24-megapixel sensor, perfect for high-quality images. Getting closer to your subject with Nikon Z lenses. On sale this week for up to $300 off. The best Nikon holiday camera deals and the local camera experts are at Rockbrook Camera. 1 block south of 168th and West Center in Omaha, 70th and Pioneers in Lincoln, and online at rockbrookcamera.com.
Well, let's punch it into Chat GPT and see its premise for a fourth or fifth John Wick, and then we'll just go from there.
Yep.
It's very. Do you remember this a couple weeks ago where I was just farting around on Chat GPT and being like, "Give me a premise for this," and it would give me several paragraphs of just a bunch of hugger-mugger. And some of those premises, I sent them to you, I'm like, that's not the worst idea,
You brilliantly put in, like, give me a sequel to The Fugitive where, Gerard is set to retire. You gave it just like a couple components, and then it gave you paragraphs, and I read it, and I was like, yeah, I'd watch that.
So I am the problem. Like this whole strike that's going on, I am part of the problem.
Well, I have more to say about that in a second. But I will say it was funny because you did two different movies. I don't remember what the second one was. But both of them, I feel like, involved. They're like, and then, he has this, like, nefarious force working against him. It's mysterious and faceless, known as the Syndicate.
The Syndicate.
It kept going. It kept going back to the Syndicate, which I found really funny. Like, it even has its own preference of genre. You know what I mean? Like, shadowy organizations.
So
but I will say, I mean, I hope this goes without saying, in favor of writers. I mean, look, a computer can come up with John Wick parakeet dies and then he picks up a gun. You know what I mean? Like anyone can kind of put that thing together, but to breathe actual life into it and make it something unique and different and interesting, I wholeheartedly believe requires a human being. But it is amusing.
If I can just add to what you're saying, I mean, I think that there is a useful place for something like this where essentially it's like a sounding board, and maybe it sparks something in you to
sure well yeah I could too yeah well sort of like what they do already. I mean, like when they're seeing if they want to make a sequel to this or a movie starring what if it was Chris Pine and blah 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 blah, and then they go to the masses and be like, what do you think of this? Like I think there's already some sort of like algorithmic component to creativity these days.
Yeah.
I will say this makes me a little uncomfortable. Because if you want to have it as some sort of like weird little magic 8-ball sort of thing that a human is actually like shaking up and whatnot, I think, I don't know, that is what it is. But like, I would really hate for this to become like some sort of dystopian thing where it really is like, well, we don't need you anymore. We just need, you know, Jeffy or whatever, which stands for like generated efficient, you know, like that. I, you know, if you had asked me a couple of years ago, are you afraid of this? I would have been like, no.
Yeah.
And like, I feel, especially after your fugitive example, I was like, oh shoot. Like this is advancing rapidly. And like, I really do believe it's in the writer's best interest, or the WGA, I should say specifically, striking right now to protect themselves from something that could, you know, I mean, you go into certain McDonald's now in places and there aren't even people taking your order anymore. You know, you have like a computer kiosk. I don't know if you've seen those. Yeah, I don't know. This is the first time, honestly, like maybe this year I've been like, oh,
yeah,
like we really need to like put some safeguards into place.
Well, and that's why I think the timing of this strike is entirely appropriate, because now, you know, this stuff is in its infancy.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think 5 years from now, 2 years from now, even would be too late.
You know, yes. And it's kind of like, I think we talked about this the last episode, but where streaming was somewhat in its infancy, right? Or it was at least a toddler, you know, with the last strike. And they're like, look, we need to figure out, there's a whole new system at work here. You know, it used to be your show did well, it had good ratings on TV, and you got pay bumps, or, you know, you're popular, you know, right? Like it could adjust your salary for actors, for writers, for whoever, based on a metric that made sense in the 20th century. But now that we have this whole new streaming thing, you know, obviously the studios are like, things are fine the way they are. Like, why would we change anything?
That's
like,
right.
Well, because the whole landscape has changed. And I think you're right. I think we're at this key moment now with this technology where the rules need to be set, you know, and it's advancing so quickly. Actually, our friend Sean today just sent me, I haven't heard it yet because I've been out all day, but he sent me an AI generated version of Paul McCartney singing like Fortunate Son or something, you know, like a cover of Creedence, you know, CCR's song. And it doesn't exist, but I bet it sounds like it does.
That's,
I mean, that's
freaking crazy
how quickly it's getting that good.
No, did you see that little video clip I sent you from The Office?
No, sorry, I haven't seen it yet. Yeah,
so it's somebody did a deep fake where they took it's the clip from The Office where Michael is wearing a lady's suit.
Okay, I remember the episode, yeah.
So they took that and they deep faked Ron DeSantis's face onto Steve Carell. But more than that, they used AI to generate Michael Scott's dialogue in Ron DeSantis's voice.
Wow.
Right? So you watch this clip and it's funny. I mean, you know, because the thing itself is funny, and then you put DeSantis in there, but you're like, this is 2 steps away or 1.5 steps away from being weaponized.
Yes.
Into something terrifying right before a presidential election.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
And
I know the implications. I mean, yeah.
And Brian, I mean, you know, not for nothing, but a lot of people out there, they're kind of stupid. I'm just going to say.
I know. Well, because then if you see something like that, some people's first reaction is to just blast it out to their friends.
Mm-hmm.
And then go, oh, I guess that was fake. But they're probably not even going to send that out. Like they've already sent it out, and yeah, it's too late at that point. And even it makes me wonder too, then even when people do find out something is fake, I mean, that gets in your brain.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then you start forming an opinion, and you have a bias now, and for something that might not even be true. I mean, it's a weird moment. I really do feel like this is a precipice moment. So I don't know.
I remember a couple of years back, in my classes, when I start, I'm always like, hey, what's going on? What's happening in the world? Whatever. And I had a student who was like, oh, did you hear what happened to Trump? And I'm like, no, what? Oh, his toupee blew off. And I was like, what? It's like, hey, I saw it online. And I was like, well, can you show me? And it's like some TikTok video where it's like Trump walks in front of a fan, and that's like a real thing. And then somebody did like some digital bleep blorp, and it made it look like his hairpiece blew off. Right. So he's bald, and but he's continuing to talk, whatever. And I looked at them, I'm like, well, I mean, that's fake, Yeah,
right.
And they're like, really? I was like, okay, first of all, it looks fake. But number two, why would he keep talking normally? Number three, you don't think it would be everywhere if that was real,
Yeah.
No, I mean, I'm just like, that was pedestrian.
Yes.
And we're already past that.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know. Me and some of my friends and Federica and stuff, we're sort of like, would you want to see 100 years into the future?
Yeah.
And Federica's a firm no. She's like, I don't want to know. Like, this is the moment I'm in right now. I'm a little afraid about what it's going to look like. But, like, I got to be honest, man, I want to know. I'm so curious. I would love, like, one afternoon walking out of my place, seeing how people are dressed, flipping through the TV channels, going to a coffee shop, seeing what people are doing. I'm so curious. 100 years from now, I mean, who knows? I
am Team Federica all the way.
Really?
Absolutely. Because I feel like whatever moment we're in right now, I feel like it's downhill fast.
That's the thing. It feels that way. I know. So I guess I want to see if we're okay, I guess.
I don't want to know. I really don't.
Valid.
Tell Federica she's right on. Yeah.
Okay.
I applaud your unbounded optimism. Even at just wanting to see it. Like that's what makes Brian Hall.
That is really funny you say that, because that's literally what she said. She's like, I wish I had your optimism. I'm like, maybe that's the only thing that's making me want to at least take a peek to make sure we're okay. Yeah. Wow, that's so funny you said that. She's seriously gonna be cracking up when she hears this.
Yeah, I'm just like, no, we'll take one glance. It'll the apes will take over, and that's the best case scenario as far as I'm.
Right.
I'll be getting chased through a cornfield, and that's the best case scenario.
Right.
So no, thank you. But with that, hey, let's. Well, this was an unplanned tangent about the fate of humanity.
Yeah,
it's what we do, It's you get your occasional movie discussion, and then occasionally
and also just what's on our mind. What are our fears today?
Sometimes we go on tangents about the Great Gazoo.
That's right. That was so amazing, by the way. We got some amazing artwork on that, right?
It's astonishing to me. I think in terms of text messages, Facebook messages, and Twitter messages, we've gotten more feedback about our tangent in our last episode where we inserted the Great Gazoo or someone Gazoo-esque into a film scenario. You never know.
That was incredible, yeah. Sorry, I don't have it out of the top of my head. I'm in this alley. I'm actually dodging taxi cabs occasionally, so sorry if I'm a little off my game here a little bit. But yeah, that was incredible.
Don't walk too deeply into the alley, because we saw what happened at the beginning of the last Scream film.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So stay.
Hey, over here.
Yeah.
Come over here. No.
Let me walk deeper in. Yeah. All right. Let's take a short break. We'll come back, and we got a couple of headlines, and then we will talk about the latest Fast and Furious movie.
Word.
The holidays start here at Baker's with a variety of options to celebrate traditions old and new. You could do a classic herb-roasted turkey or spice it up and make turkey tacos. Serve up a go-to shrimp cocktail or use Simple Truth wild-caught shrimp for your first Cajun risotto. Make creamy mac and cheese or a spinach artichoke fondue from our selection of Murray's cheese. No matter how you shop, Baker's has all the freshest ingredients to embrace all your holiday traditions. Baker's, fresh for everyone.
When you download the Baker's app, you have easy access to savings every day. Get the most out of weekly sales and receive personalized coupons to save on your favorite items, all while earning 1 fuel point for every $1 spent. Baker's makes it easy to save while you shop, whether it's in-store or online, so you get the most value out of every trip, every time. Download the Baker's app now to save big on your next purchase. Baker's, fresh for everyone. Must have a digital account to redeem offers. Restrictions may apply. See site for details.
As the chief buffet officer here at Pizza Ranch, I get all kinds of questions from guests. Here's one from Emma.
So, what's your favorite number?
That's easy, Emma. My favorite number is 14,839,552. With Buffet Your Way, you can order any pizza you want and we'll bake it and make sure you get the first slice. And with all our crusts, sauces, and toppings, we can make you 14,839,552 different pizzas. Just not, all at the same time.
Pizza Ranch, everyone's favorite buffet.
Okay, so hey, got some headlines, and there have been a couple of high-profile passings in the last week.
Yeah.
First up, Brian, I know this one is pretty important to you. Rick Dalton passed away.
That's right. R.I.P. I raised a whiskey sour in his honor.
So for those of you who are like, what's a Rick Dalton? Rick Dalton is the character played by Leonardo DiCaprio in what is, I guess, the historical docudrama Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Tarantino's film. Yeah. And Tarantino, I think, announced this on his podcast.
Yeah, and then the New Beverly Theater actually had R.I.P. Rick Dalton, 1933 to 2023 or whatever it was. Yeah, and so and then I guess he did a whole podcast episode doing a career retrospective, it's kind of funny because, look, I love the movie, so this is all fun and amusing for me, but it's sort of interesting to see, it's the guy who made Pulp Fiction and Kill Bill and all this, but he is in love with this universe, he made the whole novelization of it so he could expand on it, and then being like,
Oh, he is to this what Jim Cameron is to Avatar.
Oh, exactly. Well, yeah, that's exactly what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
The once-a-verse.
Yeah.
I was actually thinking, because when I heard about this, I was like, one's level of amusement, bemusement or just befuddlement, I think rests entirely on where you land on sort of the Tarantino spectrum.
For sure.
Right? Because you say, God, this guy is such an auteur. He's so committed to the bit that he's doing this. And then on the other hand, I assume, this is also, he's so far up his own asshole, he can spot check for polyps.
That should be on, when you do his biography, that could be the pull quote. Let's see AI write that.
Because it's amusing to me, and apparently there's a book, right? The films of Rick Dalton.
I believe he has said that is something he wants to do. Yes.
I mean, that's impressive. Because even in the novel which you read, I mean, it goes into sort of agonizing detail about Lancer and all, the
oh my gosh,
right?
Yeah, it's. Well, yeah, I mean, it goes into exactly what you just said. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But yes, it expands on things that happened, and you get scenes that weren't in the film. But he also does, every third chapter is an episode of either Lancer or Bounty Law. I can't remember. But it's you're just jumping into this 1950s episode of television, and you go through a whole episode that I'm sure he wrote, and just wanted to get out there.
That's.
But I'm one of those people. I gobbled it up. I loved it. so when I saw this, I was like, A, I was amused by it, but B, I'm amused that he loves it so much. It's funny to me.
Brian, as I'm talking to you, I'm picturing the climax of that movie. And
yes,
with the Manson people, and that's Austin Butler, isn't it?
Yes, that's right.
Well, I'll be damned.
Yep.
I just had that realization right now.
Yeah. Right before takeoff for him with Elvis.
Wow, who knew?
And he's going to be in Dune 2, right?
Dune 2. Did you see the trailer for that?
I did. Yeah.
Looks good. Looks like a good one.
I think it was cool. I liked Dune 1, but I felt like I needed 2 also. I kind of want to sit down and have it as a whole, because it's hard sometimes, with like half a film. But I am looking forward to going back there and wrapping it up.
When they announced that they were doing the second one, because I think it was like 2 weeks after it came out or whatever it was. Finally my sphincter could unclench. Because I love the book. I love it so much. I was like, is this going to be this unfinished thing? Is it going to be another Divergent situation?
Divergent, yes.
Right, or whatever that thing with Daniel Craig and Nicole Kidman. What was that? You know what I'm talking about? His Dark Materials. I think that's what it was, right?
Oh, right. I mean, I remember the Divergent thing because they didn't finish that, right?
Yeah, because they were stupid idiots.
They didn't finish either, but.
They split the last book into 2, even though it wasn't in 2 parts.
Right.
And then, congrats, you played yourself because the part 1 didn't do well, and so that was the ball game.
Right, yeah. And they were talking about wrapping up as a TV series, and they just kind of fizzled out. And I was like,
nobody cares.
Those books. Well,
what do you do?
I mean, that whole thing too was, that YA sort of dystopian thing. I mean, they went too hard on that, I think. People got burned out. That
has sort of gotten played out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, just give it 10 years. We'll be entering the legacy sequel phase of, the Maze Runner or whatever the next thing is.
That's like going to be our episode called well, I'll be darned.
I mean, they're doing it's the movie about the prequel to whatchamacallit, right? That's coming out Hunger Games.
Right. Hunger Games. Yep.
I think the prequel is called the I Could Eat Games. You're not hungry yet.
My whole point is I don't even know. Is this based on a book, or is this just they're just expanding?
It is a book. I've not read any of them. I don't read. What is that? My nieces are all in on that whole the Hungerverse, whatever it is, and yeah, it's about the Donald Sutherland character when he's young.
Okay.
And yeah,
right.
So I don't know. I haven't seen the movies either, so I can't speak to any of that.
Yeah. Well, hey, that seemed to have a pretty good fandom. So
yeah, but anyway, what we were saying about Dune is I think that there's a couple more movies worth of because the books, there's several more books that are great, so I'd love to see them keep going. But I'm at the very least they will finish this one, and so we get the first book, and that makes me happy.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm into it. I enjoyed the first one a lot. I mean, it was a really dense is the wrong word, but I mean, it's just so realized. I mean, all the details and the universe of it all. I mean, you could watch it several times and just look at the stuff in the rooms. That's how how much care was put into it. So something like that is fun to watch.
Yeah. I think that one comes out this fall, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Anyway, another passing I wanted to make sure to note. This bummed me out, man. Ray Stevenson passed away. 58 years old.
That's right.
Kind of just came out of nowhere. Ray Stevenson, I think most recently got a lot of pub for RRR.
Yeah, that's right. Right.
And of course he is the villain in the upcoming Ahsoka Star Wars series.
Right.
But I mean, he has been kicking around since forever. I'm talking since the late 90s. I think first time I saw him was in The Theory of Flight.
Wow.
That's like 1998. That's a Kenneth Branagh flick.
Oh, I don't know it.
Yeah, he was in that, and then he was in Rome. Have you seen Rome?
No. That's the HBO series, right?
You should watch that. I think you'd like it.
It feels like something I would enjoy. I didn't have HBO when that was on, so I kind of missed it. But yeah, I should check that out.
But he, I mean, a kind of a character actor's character actor, because he was in a whole ton of things that I think people would look back and be like, oh, he was in that, you know. He was after Rome. He was in Punisher Warzone, which there's a movie directed by Lexi Alexander, which I remember when it came out, I was standing on a very lonely hill being like, I loved this absolutely bonkers, batshit crazy movie. Nobody
I
else
remember
liked
you
it.
showing me like highlights from it.
I mean, that movie,
Yeah.
it was it was rejected by critics and audiences alike. I was standing on a very lonely hill. It has now come to be thought of as kind of a fun cult movie.
Yeah, it was misunderstood, right?
There you
it's
go.
kind of the way, like, yeah.
That movie was a lot of fun, and unfortunately, it didn't do much of anything. He was in a Divergent. He was in one of the Divergent movies.
Oh, well, there you go.
And of course, he was in the first 3 Thors. I mean, again, just one of these guys who was in so many things, and it was just, at least for me, I was always like, oh, Ray Stevenson. Like, there's like a baseline. You know, you're going to get a certain level of quality from him. He was always dependable. And 58. I mean, Brian, that's young, man.
That's young. Yeah, that's. Did we ever find out what it was?
Nothing revealed yet, but I would assume something heart related. You know.
Yeah, but no, that's far too young. That's really sad.
Unfortunately, his performance in Ahsoka will now be a posthumous performance, but I expect it'll be again that same level of quality that he was always good for. You know.
Yep.
And then one more passing, I wanted to make sure to note Tina Turner.
Yeah.
At age 83 years old.
Yeah, crazy. I mean, it's like an icon. You know, it's just really crazy when these like icons pass. It's, I don't know. Like even over here, I've multiple times now, I've heard "Simply the Best" being played.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and people lighting up and singing along with it. So.
I mean, Simply the Best. We Don't Need Another Hero. GoldenEye, of course.
Yeah.
It Better Be Good to Me. I mean, there's so many. And obviously it was her distinctive voice. But also I think just as amazing is that she achieved her greatest success at age 44 or 45. I think that's when What's Love Got to Do with It hit number 1.
Right.
And so, you know, that the old chestnut about, oh my gosh, if you don't make it by 40, why even bother?
Right. I know.
And of course, for me, first time I really became aware of her was watching Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome.
Yes.
In 1987 was, I think, when I saw that movie. But she played Auntie Entity, the villain in that movie, and she's great.
Yep. Yeah, I was going to say that was probably with my age where I first kind of became aware of her. And then What Love Got to Do with It,
Mm-hmm.
you know, the film, you know, based on her life that came out sort of like early 90s. Yeah.
And it tells you something. I mean, just the other day I was just talking to Am, and I was like, "Hey, did you hear about Tina Turner?" She's like, "Oh yeah." And Mikhail, who I've been going through the Bond movies with, he's like, "Oh, she sang GoldenEye, right?" You know, so like, even you know, the work transcends.
Yep. Wow. That lives on. Yep. Exactly.
There's also a very funny, you know, the lip sync theater, whatever they call that on the Tonight Show. I guess it's its own show now, right? But it started as like a Tonight Show bit. It's Paul Rudd lip syncing "Better Be Good to Me." And it's very funny. You can see that on YouTube.
Yeah, and of course, I mean, River Deep, Mountain High. That's probably my favorite one.
Yeah,
but, yeah. R.I.P.
It's a lot of. I mean, it's just we're at that stage now where these icons from that era, it's just going to become more and more common. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately,
yeah, it's surreal.
That's just part of life, unfortunately. Let's take another short break. We'll come back and talk about Fast X. Is it Fast X, Fast 10? What's it being called? What's the proper nomenclature?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I heard someone, I wish I could say this is my joke, but someone saying it should have been called Fast 10 Your Seatbelt.
Yeah, that's what I was advocating for.
Yeah,
that title
that's a good
was just sitting there. It was just sitting there. They just let it die on the vine like that.
Yeah. I'm going to call it Fast 10. I could be wrong, but...
All right. Fast 10 Your Seatbelts. We'll be right back. We'll talk about it.
The holidays start here at Baker's with a variety of options to celebrate traditions old and new. You could do a classic herb roasted turkey or spice it up and make turkey tacos. Serve up a go-to shrimp cocktail or use Simple Truth wild-caught shrimp for your first Cajun risotto. Make creamy mac and cheese or a spinach artichoke fondue from our selection of Murray's cheese. No matter how you shop, Baker's has all the freshest ingredients to embrace all your holiday traditions. Baker's, fresh for everyone.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Coincidence? I think not. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere, even at 30,000 feet. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
No purchase necessary. VGW. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Hey guys, it is Ryan. I'm not sure if you know this about me, but I'm a bit of a fun fanatic when I can. I like to work, but I like fun too. It's a thing. And now the truth is out there. I can tell you about my favorite place to have fun. Chumba Casino. They have hundreds of social casino style games to choose from with new games released each week. You can play for free anytime, anywhere. And each day brings a new chance to collect daily bonuses. So join me in the fun. Sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
And we are back, Brian, and you know who else is back?
Who's that?
Why, it's Dominic Toretto and his family.
Oh, they're all back, Zachy.
You know, there was an episode of Family Guy in like the first or second season where like Peter kills Death or something like that. And so nobody's dying anymore. And I think that's the universe that the Fast movies exist in.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because we were just talking about this, right, with the Return of the Jedi, where we're like, I know there was, talk that maybe story-wise it makes sense to kill off Han Solo, so he had to sacrifice and blah, 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 blah. However, I think we both feel, yeah, but it sure is nice seeing him with his friends on the fence at the end of the movie. Like, everyone's together, it all worked out. There's something nice about that. And this movie, I feel like, is going for that. It's like, yeah, but don't you just want to see them all together? But it goes to, like, comical degrees to achieve that,
So we'll get there, but
yeah.
And I should say, by the way, it's been about 10 days since I've seen this, and just in the the unending back and forth of just trying to get this conversation recorded, my concern has been that the vapor that this movie exists on will evaporate from my mind.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. I think we saw it the same day. So It's been a while, but I actually wrote some things down so I wouldn't forget. And I mean, I missed.
See, I should have.
Yeah. Oh, every now and then I do if there's things I don't want to forget or something so crazy, or you know what I mean. But I mentioned a couple episodes ago that I actually know Louis Leterrier, and am chummy with him. So, look, I just got to be upfront. Like, this is gonna be totally like me, kind of happy for my pal.
No,
so,
I want to say, let me. I don't even want to bury the lead. I liked the movie. I liked it. I think Leterrier, I think he did a solid job directing. I think it's actually one of the better directed films in the series. But when you factor in the fact that he jumped in like a week or 2 weeks after they had started filming.
Yes.
As far as I'm concerned, give the guy an Oscar.
Dude, and by the way, that's not me excusing like, I think it's bad, but I'm going to say it's good anyway. I actually had a blast. Yeah. I had a blast, and I wasn't sure when I went in, because like Fast 9, I was like, I think I'm done. Like, I just, sure. I'll keep watching them, but they're starting to feel like, what are we doing? Like, I don't remember Fast 9. You know, and so I'm sure I had a smile on my face while I was watching it, but I forgot it ever since I saw it. But this one, I know I'm going in and I'm kind of excited for Louis and everything, but like, I was like, oh dang, like I'm actually, when that rolling bomb was going through Rome, I was like, I am having a blast. Like, this is a really, really great set piece. And like Jason Momoa, I was like, oh, this is a villain I'm actually going to remember when this movie's over. Yeah. Like, I walked out. I'm like, I don't know, like, you know, what I was coming in with, but like, I had a really fun time with this movie.
Dude, Momoa was like watching, you know, The Dark Knight on his iPhone in between takes. Like, that was in order to stay in the zone, you know?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I loved there's even this like creepy scene where he's got these two guys that he kills, right? And they're like propped up next to him. And I was like, that's like Jack Nicholson Joker right there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's so dark and weird, but I like really liked it.
Yeah.
I don't know. So anyway, all right. So I'm getting out too ahead, but yes.
Yeah. No,
so you enjoyed it.
I think we okay. So we're both on the same page as far as that, and I think at this point, and I'm not making excuses, we're 10 movies into a 22-year-old series.
Right.
If you're watching movie 10, it's not your first one.
Right.
So you know what you're getting. If this is a series you like, it'll be more of what you like. If you're coming in completely cold, watch one of the earlier ones first.
Right. Right.
That all being said, you know, I like Vin Diesel as this character. I was like, I don't know about him as a person. I don't know about him as any other characters, but when he plays Dom, I like that. It makes me happy, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And that's the other thing too. I was thinking, like, sort of the disadvantage, well, if you want to call it that now, that they have is that they have so many characters. And it almost got kind of funny where it was like everybody had to have a fight scene.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it was just sort of like that. I found that kind of amusing where it's like, okay, like, what's Jordana Brewster up to? It's like, I don't know, but she's got to be fighting, you know? Like, and then it's like, all right, well, so what's up with, you know, like Charlize and Michelle, like they're in a room together. It's like, it didn't even make sense. It's like, let's get out of here. It's like, let's fight first, you know? And then like, but it's like, that's what these movies have become. You know what I mean? Like, they are crazy. I mean, you have Vin Diesel driving his car, hitting a crane with it. You know, like, he uses it like a hand to like wave a crane over to knock a bomb into like a river or whatever. And it's just like, that's what this is. So you're either on board with that or you're not. And I am, if I'm going to not glaze over and forget about it. Like, if I'm going to see something that is different and new and see the characters utilized in ways that are fun in environments that are interesting. And I think that's why I enjoyed this, because I remember most of the movie, honestly, 10 days later, and I like the villain and I like the set pieces. And that is acknowledging that is completely gonzo. And it's, you know, if that kind of stuff is going to turn someone off, then it's probably not for them, you know?
I agree with all of that. I think that, like I said, you don't get this many years deep into this franchise without it changing, right? And so it's an easy punchline about like, well, this started out stealing, you know, stealing DVD players. It's like, yeah, but now we're here, you know?
Yeah, and you have to be. I mean, to be, yeah.
Now we're trying to stop a bomb from blowing up the Vatican, where Brian happens to be right now. So I'm glad they didn't succeed.
I almost wish I had seen this after I'd been here, so I would like recognize it more. But yeah, dude, I gotta say, I mean, I really loved that sequence. I thought that was like really fun.
Well, and I think the escalating stakes really played out well. I think the idea, like, they add the voiceover, like, luckily no one was hurt, and you're like,
yes.
I don't know about that. Based on what we saw, that seems like a stretch.
And that shockwave afterwards that basically happened. Because I was like, oh yeah, the bomb. I thought water was just going to splash up, but it's like, no, it was like, you know, huge shockwave, and I was like, oh dang.
Yeah, it's. I think that's an effective action sequence. I thought that I thought the climax was staged pretty well. Also, you know, starting starting from the highway onward. But do you want to get into spoilers?
Yeah, let's do it.
Spoilers. So here's a big spoiler. Actually, it's not even a spoiler. It's just a question.
Yeah.
What ethnicity is the Toretto family? Because we got a family that includes Rita Moreno, Vin Diesel, Jordana Brewster, and John Cena.
By the way, I'd forgotten about John Cena. And then he shows up and he's like in his own like kind of like road movie with this boy, you know. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I'm not jealous of the writers of this movie where it's like, all right, man, you've got like 27 characters and everybody needs to have something to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's a lot. That's a lot to figure out and to balance and the hang this thing all together. I was like, wow. I was thinking about it while I was watching it. Like, man, I don't even know. I need like an Excel sheet.
It does feel like they probably got a big old dry erase board, and you know it's like
for sure.
It's like Battleship. You're trying to figure out which characters intersect where, because Cena is pretty much operating in his own movie for about 80% of it.
Yeah.
Now that being said, I think the fact that this one is so rooted in Fast Five is sort of an implicit acknowledgement that is the peak of this series.
I mean, I think when most people talk about this series, they cite that, if not the first one, that the fifth one being either their favorite or one of the most important, certainly. Yeah. And I mean, that's when they became sort of like international adventurers, you know, and like,
yeah.
And it had that incredible sequence, right, where we see at the very beginning of this movie where they insert Jason Momoa into it as if he was there in the background, you know, where they steal the safe and pull it down the highway.
Yeah.
That was the one that I think really hooked me, where I was like, oh, okay, I'm here for all these now.
Yeah.
Like, I like this.
And you stuck around through the space cars and everything else.
They did. See, and that's the thing, too, because I remember after space cars, you're like, where do you go? And it's like, well, maybe back down to Earth.
Yeah.
You know, you still have fun, but it's like, let's bring it back down a little bit and see how much fun we can have on planet Earth.
Let's give that a try.
I saw someone joking about time travel next. And then I have to, you know, you saw there's a DeLorean, like a modern DeLorean in the movie. I was like, what? That was cool. I think I squealed when that showed up.
We were talking earlier about the fact that death no longer exists in this series, and of course that's a reference to the fact that we end at something of a cliffhanger, right at which Gal Gadot, whose character Giselle died in the sixth film.
Yes.
She just kind of shows up, pops her head out of a submarine, and is just like, "Hey, what's up?"
Yes. Well, what's so funny is because it's, you know, they're in Antarctica, right? It's like Michelle Rodriguez and Charlize Theron are in some sort of like Black Ops site or something, whatever, like in Antarctica, and then they're traipsing through, you know, the snowy landscape, and they're like, "Here, stop here," and then like a submarine emerges from the ground, and then Gal Gadot just appears like, "Hello." I mean,
yeah. Now, you know what's funny is, so in the previous film, we brought back Han, played by Sung Kang, who is, of course, Giselle's love interest, and he's a fan favorite character. And I feel like the circumstances they did like this inception of a flashback. Like, you thought this happened, but actually this happened, but actually this happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think most fans were like, that is ridiculous, but fine, because we like Han.
Yes, right.
And I feel like that was the quota that they used up.
Sure. Right.
And so and here's the other thing. Actually, I should say this. The previous sequence involves Jacob, the John Cena character, who, now granted, the movie sort of telegraphed his death from the moment he hugs Mia, and she's like, "I love you, Jacob. I love you, sis," or whatever. And then the nephew's like, "I love you, Uncle Jacob." I was like, uh-oh. And
funny.
Anytime somebody is told twice that they are loved, that means they're going to die, which is why I don't tell my kids I love them, because it's just superstition.
Right.
But I was like, okay, that's a red flag. And then we get Brian. Now you tell me. His car runs out of gas, so he sacrifices his life
to get some cars off of Vin's ass.
He doesn't. He hasn't been shot. You know what I mean? It's not like, I have been shot, I don't have much time left, and my car's running out of gas. No, it's, they hit my gas tank, I will now kill myself.
Right. Believe
you know what I mean? Like Jacob's death. See, you do that when you are for sure going to die. Do you understand?
Yes. I had that thought actually.
But I was willing to roll with it because I was like, well, we didn't see any body, so this is the Fast series, so okay, fine.
Right.
And then like 2 scenes later, Giselle comes back, and I'm like, well, now Jacob has to stay dead.
Yeah, you feel like they almost do that, so we do lose something.
Yeah.
And then we get this little, exactly. Although he could come back, and he's like got the Wile E. Coyote, singed hair, smoke, kind of coming up, rising off his shoulders, like, oh, what a day.
I will be not at all surprised if he does come back. I just found the juxtaposition of those 2 sequences very amusing to me, because you're like, oh no, he's dead, and then Giselle's like, hey, what's up? And you're like, okay, so death does not exist anymore.
Not in this dojo. I'd heard someone say too, like Vin Diesel's a huge like D&D guy, and these movies are starting to feel sort of like a humongous campaign, with its own set of rules.
Now that being said, I kind of loved that Alan Ritchson plays, in essence, a Luke Hobbs stand-in.
Mm-hmm.
And the movie leans into our sense of that to make his heel turn actually feel like a surprise.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it worked. It surprised me, anyway.
Yeah, it surprised me too, yeah.
And I also think it's kind of interesting that if you look at Dante is sort of like the inverse mirror image of Dom, right?
Right.
And so he has his own Brian.
That's right.
I thought that was a good twist. It really worked for me. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the way that they worked him into like a film that we already know, we understand, where he's coming from, and he's also a little unhinged, and you can have some fun with that. Obviously Momoa's having a really good time, and I enjoyed all the villainous aspects of the movie for sure.
I did want to mention that Brie Larson is in this movie.
Yes.
And I'm not a Brie Larson hater at all. I know it's become very popular to do that, but I'm just like, what's she doing in this movie?
I don't disagree. And again, I like her too. I think it's, it almost feels like Kurt Russell wasn't available or something, and they needed to at least,
right.
This is supposed to be part 1 of a finale, right? And so it feels like they want to acknowledge every component that's come before. And if you don't have that character, it's like, well, at least we need someone who's related to that character to show up and have some sort of impact, right?
Yeah.
And speaking of, yeah.
Sorry, real quick question. Does Scott Eastwood die? Because I think I glanced down or something, and I wasn't able to tell. Is he still alive at the end of this thing?
Dude, holy cow, I don't remember. Actually, this is the 10 days thing. I don't remember either.
I have to look that up.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, no, because death doesn't exist. So
right.
maybe he died, maybe he didn't.
Yeah.
Sorry, you were saying.
Oh no, but it kind of made me laugh too when she goes into that bar, and like I said, just coming in and be like, all right, I gotta go talk to Dom. Like I got some information, buddy. It's just sort of like she has to like kick 5 guys' asses and like pull out a shotgun and whatever. And
That's
then,
right.
it's like everyone's got to have like their sort of like kick-ass intro. But there's just so many people to account for. That's where I was still like, wow, they just found a way to give everybody their moment.
Oh, here's, speaking of the 10 days, here's another thing, because I fully agree with that, where it in the context of the scene, it doesn't make any sense except, we gotta justify having, Marvel superhero Brie Larson here. So let's give her a butt kicking scene. But throughout the film, there are these shots. It's like close-up shots of Vin Diesel kind of like steering the wheel like this, and then we cut to the exterior of the car, like on a surface that it should not in any way be driving on. He's like kind of jerking the wheel back and forth, and I'm like, I want to see like in the next one, he should be driving on like the surface of the sun. And then we cut to the interior of the car, and he's just kind of like steering the wheel like this, back and forth.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the film, I mean, he's driving down a sheer dam face. Like, I mean, it is straight down.
Mm-hmm.
But we cut to the interior, it's just kind of jerking the wheel back and forth. Okay. Dom's a good driver, you know?
I know. I forget which movie it is. I remember one of them. It's like, don't let them near a car, you know, because it's like these people are supernatural, you know, behind the wheels of cars.
Well, that's this one too. With Alan Ritchson's intro scene, where he's got like the Shield Council footage of like footage from all the movies.
Yes. Right. Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Back in 2001, they were stealing DVD players in 2000. See, he's echoing the audience there.
Right. Huh? Right. Well, we should say then. I mean, the movie ends on a cliffhanger. I mean,
yes.
Did you see it? Did you know it was going to end like that?
Well, I mean, they've said this is part one of a 2/3 part finale, right? I kind of hope they don't stretch it out to 3 parts because I don't know. I don't know that we need 3 parts of this, right?
Right.
The problem I have with the finale, with the cliffhanger, I mean, is that it's a cliffhanger that does not have stakes within it. Because it's like, oh, is Dom going to die? Well, no, he's not, because there's another movie.
Sure. Well, the other guys went down in that plane crash, right? I mean, that's the other sort of... Like,
yeah, but that too. Again, you didn't see a body. I don't believe for one second that Roman, Tej, and Ramsey are all dead.
True. Very true.
Right? So that, like, that to me, you know, it's like, I don't know what's a good, like Infinity War, which isn't necessarily a cliffhanger, but it is, right? That ends, and the question isn't like, oh, is everybody going to come back? Because probably, but you're like, how are they going to resolve this, right?
Right.
And this cliffhanger, it felt more like, okay, we're out of runtime.
Right. Yeah. I see that.
You know, so I don't know that that's inherently a critique, because it's like, well, whatever. I mean, we're going to come back and watch the next one, but I mean, I don't know that the stakes that it ends on are fundamentally more elevated than anything else they've faced up to this point.
Mm-hmm. Like maybe if someone was in his possession or something, and it's like, well, how are they going to get that person back? Sure.
Yeah. Now, I think the Alan Ritchson heel turn was really effective, and I think connecting these two guys, I think it all worked, and I think the retconning of the scenes in Fast 5, all of that worked for me.
Yeah.
I think I mentioned this last time on the podcast, but I've said this online. I'm like, I don't know how you end this series and not bring in Brian O'Connor in some form.
Dude, I don't know how you do that. Like, I don't know. They've sort of worked themselves into this really interesting corner where it's like, well, you have this real life tragedy. You don't necessarily, you kind of want to give them a happy ending in the films, but then it's like with all this crazy dire action going on, it's like, oh, well, are they ever going to call on him? And if this does have some sort of ending, you know, where they're all at some sort of barbecue, it'd feel weird for him not to be there. I don't know how. I don't know how they're going to handle that.
Because I don't know if you remember this, the last movie ends with the barbecue scene, and the last shot is Brian's car pulling in, like, oh, he's joining them for the barbecue.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, that's great. Okay, so he was watching the kids or something. And there's the problem. Mia, his wife, is with the group, with the family.
Right.
So are you telling me he's like reading to his kids while his wife is facing certain death?
I know. I don't know. I don't know what you do. Maybe they're even regretting now. Like maybe we should have like figured out some way to honor him, you know, and also make it where, well, maybe he's not here now. I don't know. I'm very curious if they even have something in mind, or they're like, we'll find it, you know?
Yeah, at this point, I'm about 97% certain that they're going to find some way to bring the character in, whether it's recasting or deep fake or whatever it is.
Yeah. Even if it's similar to Seven or whatever it was, where it's like sort of looking at each other through a car window or something.
Right. I mean, something, you know, and I think I said this last time. If the family's okay with it, I don't have a fundamental problem with them figuring out a way to do that. because I think it's almost it does the character a disservice at some point.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know. Now that being said, Brian, there's a mid-credit scene here.
That's right.
Gotta have mid-credit scenes. That's what you do with the F universe. So we find out that Dante Reyes is not only upset at Dom for being responsible for his daughter's death. He's also mad at the guy who double tapped his dad right in the old noggin, and that is, of course, Luke Hobbs, played by Dwayne Johnson, who shows up. Brian.
I was shocked. My theater was shocked.
Now, I would have been more shocked if this entire story was not broken by various online outlets, not random people on social media, but actual reputable outlets who, before the movie came out, said, "Hey, guess who's coming back?"
Oh, wow. I didn't see that. Oh, wow.
Yeah. That's some bullshit right there.
Yeah, no, that was a total surprise to me.
Now, here is my question.
Yes.
Was Dwayne Johnson's return as this character on the heel? Now, if you remember, I mean, there was sort of this back and forth, quite heated back and forth between Dwayne Johnson and Vin Diesel over several years now.
Mm-hmm.
Was that all just kayfabe? Was that pro wrestling trash talk?
Man, I bravo if it was, because it was very believable and also got a little personal at times.
That's right.
Know?
See, or Brian, is this a result of last October, Black Adam comes out, which is meant to be Dwayne Johnson taking over DC, did not happen, and then you got about 4 months to quickly shoot this thing. So a slightly humbled Dwayne Johnson says, "Hey, maybe."
You know what? Very likely, I think. And people like him as this character, right? So, like, why if your big gamble didn't pay off, like, well, you got a series where people like seeing you say "some a bitch," so why not? Why not?
I think that the mid-credit scene had me more excited for the next one than where the movie ended right before the credits.
Sure.
One presumes that it's a setup for Dom and Hobbs, reuniting and of course Jason Statham. We should mention. I mean, he kind of he has like one scene, then takes off.
Yeah.
He's like, I gotta get my guns. And so one presumes he'll be. So it'll be just a battle of bald muscle heads.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that was a little sort of table setting. It felt like.
Right. I did like that they kind of resolve a little bit the Han and what's his name, Deckard Shaw thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is what we get. I don't. Brian, it's not the Magnificent Ambersons.
But what is, Zachy?
Ben, I don't need it to be. That's kind of the nice thing,
Yeah, no, I mean, that's the thing.
The next one of these will be out.
Oh yeah, what do we know?
I would assume 2 years, right? I mean, that's sort of, that seems to be the timeline that they're on.
Yeah, that feels about right. I feel like it's sort of settled into its level of reality and its tone and what it's going to do. And so what I just want to show up and enjoy that, but have it be something that I remember. And when I go to see the next one, I'll be like, oh, well, I like that this, this villain's going to kind of continue, because a lot of the villains become part of the family. You know what I mean? Like John Cena's character and whatnot. And so I'm kind of excited to go back to another one where we get more Momoa as the bad guy and more great set pieces and, have some fun.
Momoa
for moi.
My wife keeps saying that randomly, and I try not to take it personally. It hurts. Well, I think that wraps up our discussion about Fast 10. What do you think?
I think so. Yeah. Sorry again. Yeah, if I'm out here just sort of, this is a lot of stream of, or train of thought talking with you, more like a phone call, literal hey, buddy, yeah, I just saw this. What'd you think? All right, cool. See ya. I'm in Rome. So, sorry if this is one of the most incoherent conversations I've had.
None. I had a good time. I assume people will have a good time listening as well. And we will be back in our next regular episode. We'll be talking about Across the Spider-Verse. We got another Transformers movie to talk about. There's lots of stuff happening, Brian.
Yeah. There's a lot I'm looking forward to this summer.
So those conversations will be coming forthwith. However, we also have a couple commentary tracks coming. I know people have been requesting some more of those, so you can look for those. I'm not going to say what they are because I tend to jinx myself, but they're coming. I promised The Last Jedi several times. Before the summer is out, Brian, we're gonna drop that commentary.
Let's do it.
But if you have any thoughts about what we had to say, please, you can message us at moviefilmpodcast@gmail.com. You can also hit like on our Facebook page, facebook.com/moviefilmpodcast, and DM us that way. If you're looking for me online, you can find me on Twitter at Zacky's Corner. That's ZAKIS Corner. And of course, you can look for my reviews and other writing at the San Francisco Chronicle and IGN and The Wrap, etc. What about you, Brian? What do you have going on?
I am currently writing for Young Jedi Adventures, which you can watch a whole batch of episodes over on Disney Plus, and episodes go up each week on Disney Junior.
Perfect. Well, that wraps up Movie Film 270. We'll be back soon with our next regular show. New commentaries coming. And as always, thanks everybody for listening. We will catch you next time.
Welcome, friends. It's the Movie Film Podcast. Enjoy the show. Zachy and Brian are talking about movies. Movie Film Podcast on the radio.
With Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to... Has anyone seen the bride and groom?
Sorry, we're here. We were getting lucky in the limo and we lost track of time.
No, Lucky Land Casino, with cash prizes that add up quicker than a guest registry.
In that case, I pronounce you lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Daily bonuses are waiting. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Okay, round two. Name something that's not boring.
A laundry? Ooh, a book club. Computer solitaire, huh?
Ah, sorry. We were looking for Chumba Casino. That's right. ChumbaCasino.com has over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.